was thinking about the better days. My youth so happy, my hair so nappy, had an afro.
Yo, people, what's going on? Welcome to Nightcap. I'm back, and we're here to talk about you know what. So let's get this done. Before I do, I just want to shout out to everybody. Thank you for supporting the channel. Yeah, I know it's all of that, but at times, guys, you just have to make it real. And I appreciate the time that you guys are giving to me for my Nightcap. So we can just go ahead straight away and get off with the player ratings. But at the same time, I want to talk about the game. For me, guys, we got a lot to cover, man. I'm going to try and be quick because these nightcaps supposed to be like 20 minutes and they ended up going like 35, 40 minutes. So look, I'm going to be real, guys. There's a lot of talk in the fan base at the moment. And I'm a little disappointed because it seems that everybody has got an opinion on what went wrong. And no one's actually got an opinion on what went right. And it's a little disappointing because for me, I like a lot of balance. If you're going to tell me something that's bad, then, and I can take that and I accept it. But then if you're not going to say what's good, then for me, you're just spouting something where we're just looking down all the time. And the result is to not be frowned on. The result is the result because of a reason. And that reason means that there's some good that happened in the game as well. So when we talk about these things, we got to have balance, guys. We got to have balance. Honestly, I had about 10 places that I was looking at today when I'm driving around. I'm listening to YouTube. I'm watching podcasts. And about 8 or 9 of them is just this wave of negativity. You know, take the handbrake off, blah, 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 all that. So there's only one person that I listened to, and that was Danny Murphy. And Danny Murphy says, hold on a second. There are reasons for playing like this. There are reasons why you have these kind of setups. There are reasons why players are not playing in positions which fans think they should be playing. And so let's kind of discuss all of that because, you know, 101 here, we try and add a lot of balance. Shout out to Cam, shout out to 18, shout out to Emerson, shout out to all of you guys out there. And it's important for us to add balance. So first of all, the questions that a lot of people have been asking is, has Arteta reached his limit? I don't think that's a question you should ask now. That should be a question, and this is just my opinion, that should be a question you should ask yourself at the end of the season when we see where everybody stands. Yeah? Greetings, Andrew. How you doing, bro? I hope you're doing well. On top of that, let's talk about the bad and the good. Yeah, let's try and be structured today. Let's try and add everything where we can so we can look at it in all angles and all point of views and not just what you guys have been seeing on YouTube today from a multiple amount of sources. First of all, the team sheet. If you watch my video on Sunday, I talked about, I understood why this team sheet was what it was. I also said it's up to the people who are on the bench to come off and make an impact, because that's how Trossard got into the team. Trossard got into the team because he had a goal and 2 assists, and every time he was presented with an opportunity, he delivered. And he actually didn't have a bad game. Yeah. Was it as influential and impactful as the games before? No, it wasn't. But did he stink up the joint? No, he didn't. And we'll go through all those players that did. But I have to say, hand on heart, was the team sheet deserving of the first half performance? No, it wasn't. And there's 2 sides to that. Number one, Arteta sets his teams up not to be beaten. And some of you guys have been saying, nah, he's playing with the handbrake off. It's too risk adverse. You might say that, but he's built an identity, and that identity is, it is the strongest defense in the league. It is. And when you have that as a strength, that's your identity. If you talk about Arsene Wenger's teams, you talk about a different type of entity. You talk about the flair. You talk about the exciting football. When Invincibles happened, they didn't get beaten. No, they drew 12 games. So they didn't. It wasn't like they scored the most points. If we talk about points tally, in fact, Arteta's team has just come within a point of that, and overall, they have scored more goals than Invincibles. So when you kind of hear we don't create nothing, we're a boring team, we don't score goals. Well, Arteta's already proved to you for 2 seasons that his team has scored more goals than any other team. So for those trying to label the manager as that's just not exactly true. He's been put in a situation where he's trying to make the best of, and now he has a striker. He's got to do the whole thing all over again. But with all that going on and all the injuries we had last year, he still has the number 1 defense. So that's your identity. When you talk about Arsenal, exciting football and this, that, and the other, our actual identity is our defense. It's strong right through the spine, and we stop teams from playing. We receive the least amount of goals being shot at, shots being taken, and shots on target. There is not a team in Europe that faces less than that than Arsenal. And that's what he's built. So that's the foundation. So it's almost like when you see all this talk about Handbrake and all this stuff off, it's almost like as a fan base, we don't know what our identity is. It's like we don't know. And our individual thoughts on that may differ. But the reality is that this is a team that is off the ball. Possession is the best in football. They shut teams down. They overload the midfield. They stop teams from playing. They cut off the wingers. They have players who can attack and defend all across the front line in the midfield. So that is what he's hung his hat on. The case in point is, did he get it wrong from the get-go? I don't think the Liverpool game approach was wrong. I questioned this game only because you're at home. So would you use 4 defensive midfielders when you're away at Anfield, away at the Etihad, away at Tottenham? Sure, of course you would. But doing that at home was not the right thing to do, and it probably wasn't the right thing to do in regards to the way how Man City came and set up. Arteta did not know that City was going to come out and park the bus. If he did, there's no way he would have used 3 defensive midfielders. And you know the thing about that, I see Andrew, I'll get to Andrew in a second. The thing about that is, what we're saying and what we saw is what the manager saw. So guess what? He changed it. So it's one thing getting something wrong. It's another thing identifying that you've got something wrong and then doing something about it. And I bet there was a lot of people in the crowd in the stadium or even watching it at TV that thought, this is all wrong and Arteta's going to wait till the 17th minute to change it. But we were wrong. When the second half started and he made those changes, I was like, right, I didn't know Arteta was going to do that. But, that in itself is an admission that he got it wrong. That's a key skill to have as a manager. That shows me improvement. And then I'll go one further. Because we all understand, we all agree you got it wrong. Yeah, we all do. But I'll go one further as well by saying that the changes that he's making have been impacting game after game after game after game. So even with the midweek, the subs that he brought on, Martinelli and Trossard, both scored and both assisted. And in this game against Manchester City, the subs that he brought on, again, scored and assisted. But I don't hear any of that out there. All I hear is we're too conservative. We're playing with the handbrake on. It's just a one-way narrative. And that, for me, is not good enough. We need to be coming with a little bit more balance. We're all in a place where we understand the game, right? So when we have a voice, let's talk about the balance of it all. Let's talk about, because by just saying he doesn't know what he's doing and blah, blah, it just makes it sound negative that he doesn't know how to manage. And Arteta, who's a guy who did what he did in the Champions League, and his time at Arsenal, he's been second 3 years in a row. That a level of consistency is something that he created. He has created that level of consistency. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. Someone who doesn't know what he's doing might get lucky one year, like Eddie Howard or someone like that. They might make the Champions League one year, but then the next year you drop out and then you're fighting to get back in again. We're not seeing that from Arteta's team. We're seeing consistency all across the board. So let me get to Andrew. Andrew's saying the bad currently overshadows the good. It would if we lost. It would if we lost, and that would have been on him. Whereas the Liverpool loss wasn't on him. The Liverpool loss was just a fluke world-class goal. And you've got to put your hands up and say, well done, Liverpool, because that goal was good enough to beat anyone. Had that not had gone in, Arteta would have gone there and got a point in a very difficult game, and it would have been a result and well done. And he would have got a pat on the back. Gyökeres is suffering because his stars of service. Yes, he is. The previous 2 seasons, Arsenal had the best records for goal conceding. What has this achieved? This has achieved the resilience of the defense. Before Erling Haaland scored, in 5 games, Arsenal are not even letting a goal in outfield play. And I know that means something to you, Andrew, but that's the answer to your question. That's what we've achieved. Without that, Andrew, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about title contenders. If we didn't have the best defense, winning the title wouldn't even be a conversation, because it would just be something that the team would not be capable of doing. If we were letting in goals left, right, and centre, and we weren't solid at the back, not a chance. The conversation of winning a title wouldn't even be on the board. It just wouldn't. It would be a complete waste of time. Pack your bags up and go home. Not a chance we're winning. But we have a chance because of the way that we play in terms of shutting teams down. That's our identity. That's what we've achieved, Andrew. And then he says modern football appears to be more about stopping the opposition. Not really, because how many other teams can do what we do? One. I can tell you, one team out there can actually do what Arsenal does, and that's Inter Milan. That's the only team in a European stage that can shut teams down the way we do. And that got them to a final. We got to the semi-final, but that got them to a final in the Champions League. They lost. Yeah, but that's their identity. And defense, we always talk about this with championship teams, like defense wins championships, offense sells tickets. Arsene Wenger was a big believer in expressing yourself and being offensive. And in the last 10 years of his tenure, it got him nowhere. And I actually was listening to Arsene Wenger yesterday. And you know what? You know what was funny? He was saying the exact same thing. He was like, fans want to see excitement. They want to see you get going forward. But a Wenger team would have gone forward and let in 2 or 3 goals against Man City. That's what a Wenger team would have done. So he's there talking about his opinion, saying what he thinks Arteta should have done. But at the same time, Arteta hadn't built a spine at the club for over a decade. And neither did Emery. Arteta was the only one that built a spine in this team. The only manager in 20 years that put a spine in the team. And Andrew said he's receiving criticism for starting a foundation. Yeah, and I don't mind, Andrew. I'm not saying he shouldn't be criticized. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you're going to criticize him and not talk about the things that he did well, then there's no balance in that. There's no balance. And I'm here today to do exactly that. I've talked about he got the team sheet wrong. I talked about the approach was wrong. When you're playing at home, that's not how you want to set a team up. When you're playing away, that's exactly how you want to set up. But at the same time, I've talked about he had the guile to change it because he knew it was wrong. And the changes on top of that he's making are impactful. So why aren't we talking about that as well as criticizing him? Does that make sense, Andrew? Yeah? You know it makes sense. Yeah? So the Madueke, we know now he had an injury. He's got a knee problem. It looks like he might be out for 3 to 4 weeks. So that's why he took him off. I even saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, you nuts? Why did he take him off?" Blah. He took him off because he was injured. But again, that paves a picture of Arteta don't know what he's doing because he took off Madueke without people even knowing that Madueke was injured. You know, it's a narrative, Andrew. That's what I'm saying. It's a narrative. Yeah. But that being said, I didn't think that Saka was ready to come on. Look, Saka hasn't played any football in a month. And it looked like when he came on that he was jaded. He got tired as well. I also noticed that Gyökeres was panting because remember the only forward substitute we have at the moment is Moreno, and we all agree Martinelli should probably be playing up front. But at the same time, he couldn't take Gyökeres off for Moreno because Moreno was already playing, and then Moreno came off, so Gyökeres had to play the full 90 minutes. And remember, he had no preseason. But he looked tired. I thought Gyökeres looked tired towards the end. But Arteta is who he is. He's risk averse. He's been through the hellholes and back with this team. He's been to places like Liverpool and City where he's got turned over 3 goals, 4-0, 3-0. And this is why he has built the team this way. He's built the team to dominate the midfield. And have that defensive fortitude. And he's done that because of the experiences he's had as a manager previously. So I get all of that. Where I think that he went wrong is he just went a step too far. He did not know that Pep Guardiola was going to walk into that Emirates Stadium with his knees shaking. Pep was scared. Imagine Pep Guardiola, Manchester City. I can't believe that we're living in this world where Manchester City comes in with a low block at the Emirates. What? What? Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, parking the bus. To the point, I might add, where when Arsenal started getting on top of them in the 65th minute, he had no attackers. He took off Haaland. He had Doku up front as the main striker, and then Doku was mashed up as well. So what's going on, Tony? Glad for you to join me with this nightcap. So we're living in a situation where Arteta got it wrong and Pep got it wrong. The difference with Arteta is he was able to change it, realize, read and react. Okay, damn, I got it wrong. Let me change it, which he did very quickly at halftime. And then the substitutions, got him back into the game, which happened again at the Athletic Club. Whereas what Pep did, it was too late for Pep to change it. Pep had already played his hand, defended for 75 minutes, and then had no strikers on the field when they were being run at. He had no attacking options on the field. So to Pep, I don't know what you was doing there, bro, but Man City fans got to be crying about what happened. But I think with Arteta, he must have been shocked. He must have stood there and shocked and was like, I've set up defensively against a team who's playing defensively. So all of a sudden it was like, I got to switch it. And he did. He switched everything into attack mode. And the second half was a lot better. But Arteta, he wouldn't have known. He wouldn't have known that Guardiola was crapping himself. Sorry about the noise behind, guys. I've got the water softener going on. And I don't know why it's going on at 10:20. I normally set that at midnight. Tony's saying, Leo, try to smash and grab. Yeah, it's one of those things. But you have to remember, as I said previously, especially in the year 2022, Arteta suffered damaging defeats to these teams. They lost 4-1 at the Etihad in their title run-in. Remember that game was men against boys? And then City just embarrassed us. And then they got embarrassed again. It's just one of those things that you can see what's made Arteta the man he is today. Yeah. So it isn't that he's reached his limit. It's just Arteta is risk averse, and it's risk averse for the right reasons. But for me, he needs to know when to come out of that. You're playing at home. You should be on the front foot. You should have been in a different mode. You should have said to City, you've come into our ground. We're going to stomp on top of you until you submit. Instead, we said, you come into our ground. Let's see what you're going to give us. Let's see what it's like a boxer. It's like, Tony, right? You go 2 rounds just to feel the fight out. Then in the 3rd rounds, you start to enact your tactics. Yeah. That's kind of what Arteta was doing. Feeling his way into it to see what Pep was doing so he could react. Andrew says, you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah, he cannot. Yeah, that season burnt a hole through Arteta's heart. It burnt him. It crucified him, and it's made him a completely different person today as far as philosophies goes. And so, look, if we're going to win, we're going to win because we've got the best defense and we stop teams from playing. The striking issue's going to have to sort itself out. And there's a lot to happen with that. A lot of people are talking about Gyökeres, and before you lot ask me the question, I'm going to answer it. Have we bombed out with Gyökeres? No, we haven't. Gyökeres has found himself in a situation where normally when you come into a new team, again, I apologize for the noise in the back, guys. Normally when you come into a new team, you normally start on the bench and you're eased into it because you're sitting on the sidelines with the other players or the subs, and you're seeing the motions go through. Everything that tactically has been sold and taught to you, you're visually seeing how it comes out so that when you do go on the field, you're prepared. How do we know this? Because most new signings do that. Yeah, most new signings. Look at Isak. Isak's been there for Liverpool's 2 games and he ain't started either one of them. You know, so Gyökeres has been put into this situation where he's got to hit the ground running and he's having some growing pains. He's clearly having growing pains. And we know, guys, Thierry Henry, sometimes, you know, when you look at Anelka, all these guys, sometimes it takes you a while to get going. He's got 3 goals in 5 games. He's going to get there, guys. He's going to get there. But he's really, really trying, guys. I'm looking at the movement. I'm looking at the pressing. I'm looking at the mentality. Let's talk about the mentality. If you look at what Gyökeres is doing on the field, he's working his socks off. He's never stops running on the back line. He runs down the goalkeeper, runs down the defense. He pressures. This isn't someone who's devoid of confidence. It isn't. It's someone who is trying to figure it out. He's getting no supply from our midfield. We'll come on to that in a second. And he's just trying to make the best of what he can do. But it will come. Everything will come together. So let's talk about the problem in the midfield. So first of all, the 3 defensive midfielders in a 4-3-3 screams no intent for goals. And that's the reason why Gyökeres was starving. And if Arsenal are going to win the league, it's going to have to be knowing when they need to be on the front foot. That's if they're going to win the league. They're going to need to know whether they need to get on the front foot or not, and not approach passively every game to shut teams down. Because at some point, you need to score to win. And it's concerning now that we don't look gamey in terms of scoring goals from outfield. Yeah, it's a struggle for us at the moment. It really is. And things are going to have to happen with the players that we've got. And look, because he's got Saka back now, he's got some more options. Kai Havertz is going to be back soon. But it's going to have to be a thing that he's going to have to figure out this season. But that's fine. When you've got a defense like this, it allows you to do that. Yeah? So, guys, let's talk about... let's go through the player ratings. Yeah, let's do that because we've waited long enough. So, you're David Raya, guys. I think he was exposed for the goal by Calafiori, and there was absolutely nothing he can do about the finish. It wasn't. He was just left hanging out to dry, 1-on-1 with the best striker in the world. Yeah? You can't do that. To make up for it, though, to make up for the defense's mistake, he made a crucial save in the second half. When the team needed it the most, Reyes still delivered. I'm only giving him a 6, though, because I thought his distribution didn't help. I thought that there was 2 or 3 balls where it was so wasteful. I said, what's going on? What are you doing? Yeah, so I was scratching my head. Urian Timber, guys, I'm going to give him a 7. Is that the lowest mark he's had this season? I think it is. Because he's been having 8s and 7.5s and 9s. And look, everybody was billing this as the Clash of the Titans. This was the fight that was going to really sell the billing on this game. And it was Doku versus the best right back in the league. And I think it was a draw. I think it was a draw. If this was a boxing match, there certainly weren't no TKO knockout or anything like that. I thought both of them gave a good performance. There was times that Doku, there was two instances actually that Doku ran by him because and that's a speed thing. You can't teach speed. You can't coach speed. Yeah, Doku is just that guy. He's, when you got a Theo Walcott and you're running at a defender, you have to feel sorry for the defender because you're going to say, my guy, no matter who you are, he's going to run past you. We saw Theo do that against Barcelona. So it don't matter who you are, guys. If you got speed like Doku, you're going to get past the defender. But it was, he took some licks and he gave some licks. And with Timber, how he combated that was, there was instances where I thought his positioning was good throughout the game, and that's what helped him in this respect. I think that this is the only challenge really that Timber's really going to have that he's going to remember, because he gave as good as he got, and I'm going to give him a 7 for that. Saliba, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought his lack of match fitness really showed, and although he didn't really do anything wrong, should he have started? Should Mascara have started? I think that's maybe a conversation. It's not what people are talking about. That's what I'm saying. You got a guy who was already warmed up, heated up, looking for the challenge. Yeah, this man's faced all them guys in La Liga, Mbappe, all them man there, and Vinicius Jr., all them man, and he was looking forward to the Haaland thing, and we took that away from him because we wanted to get that baseline back of Saliba and Gabriel. Gabriel, I'm going to give a 6. He was caught out of possession for the goal as well. It was Calafori's fault, but Gabriel was too far up the pitch, so he was caught. He got caught, yeah, leaving a massive gap for Haaland to run into and exploit, and Haaland did. Like the best striker in the world, he blew right past Gabriel and put Arsenal up 1-0. So Gabriel's positioning was an issue at that point because he got too far at the pitch. But the person who made the mistake was Calafori. So Calafori gets a 5. He just exposed his teammates. And he never really recovered from that. And I think that was the frustrating thing with the scores. Yes, you've made a mistake, but get your head into the game and pull yourself out of it and deliver. And I think after what we saw then, he didn't. Yeah, I did hear your ratings, Tony, yesterday. It's a shame you never left them up there on the screen because I would have actually talked about them. I don't see them on here, so yeah. So it's a shame you didn't leave them on. So there was worrying things going inside Calafori's head. There was one stage, guys, where he's about 30 yards out. He had Gyökeres running towards the near post. So it's just a simple ball in. And then he blows the ball diagonally 40 yards into the air. I'm like, what? Why would you do that? Who was that going to? It was a brain fart moment. And that just really goes to show you how his head was completely gone. Tony said he blamed Gabriel as Gus' positioning was awful. Yeah. Also, we both saw the same thing. The thing about it is, Tony, Calafori made the mistake, but Gabriel could have recovered and got him out of jail. Yeah, had his positioning been better, he would have been able to stop that. But he got caught as well. They got caught flapping. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. Here's the most horrible aspect of the game, which was the midfield. 3 defensive midfielders. And guys, let me tell you what I was really disappointed with yesterday. Not one of them had a good game. Not one of them. Zubimendi, Declan Rice, and Moreno, not one of them had a good game. And by all accounts, Zubimendi's played well. Moreno has been excellent. And Rice hasn't really turned up this season. That's just me that's just me signing really up their whole season so far. Yeah. You just got those levels, innit? Rice is the level below, not turned up. They're level in the middle of Zubimendi. He's getting there. He's had some games, good ones. He's had some bad ones. where he's just not being impactful. But out of the three of them, Moreno has been the guy. He's been the guy, man. And if there's anyone out there who doesn't understand why Arteta has chosen Moreno, then you're lacking in football knowledge. That's the truth of it. Kenny came on my video yesterday and made a spot about it, because people who understand football, they know. When you're putting a guy in who's completely, totally disrupting the opposition's midfield and not getting any credit for it, key Matthew Flamini, yeah, then you all know what you're talking about. Fabregas was only the man that he was because of one man, and that was Flamini. Fabregas was allowed to go and express himself and do whatever he wanted because of Matthew Flamini, yeah? And Moreno is that guy. He's so good at breaking up play, it's ridiculous. The problem with this position where you're putting him in a number 10 and you need to score goals, and they knew that, and that's why they took him off. So, you know, all the fair play to Arteta. You wrote your wrong right, yeah? The problem with the three of these players is they never looked for Victor Gyökeres once. And I want to stamp this authority on this quote, because not only did they not look for him, but when have they looked for him this season? When have you seen Zubimendi, Rice, or Moreno slip the ball into Gyökeres in the final third? You haven't seen it. You know why? Because I ain't seen it. I'm not seeing it. Think about it. When Gyökeres has got service and he scored them 2 goals, who gave him the ball? It was Calafiori. When Gyökeres had that chance at the near post where he missed against Athletic, that was Eze. When Gyökeres also had his near miss as well, which was the header, that was Madueke and Eze with those crosses. And when the Martinelli goals happened, especially this one, it was Eze. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is, a lot of the problems with these guys is they're not moving the ball forward. Do you know how frustrating it was watching the game yesterday where these guys was going backwards and sideways all the time? And Madueke's making his diagonal runs. Victor Gyökeres is making a slant run, and the ball's just not going forward. That, for me, I think was Arteta could see it. I know, because I saw it, and I knew Arteta could see it. And I knew what was going on there at halftime when he was slashing them players. Because he was like, what is going on? Why are we not feeding our attackers? We've gone out there and spent all this money on these players, and you ain't even trying to give them the ball. You're not even trying. And in many instances, these guys were open. This is something, I don't want to beat you guys over the head with this, and I'm sorry if I do. I'm apologizing in advance. Thomas Partey would never, ever, ever do that. Thomas Partey was, you know, you guys used to watch He-Man, right? You know that guy there, they call him Man-at-Arms. Yeah? One-man army. Thomas Partey could do everything. Defensive midfielder, transition, and play the ball into the final third. He can do everything. And I'm not crying about it because he's gone and he's got to do whatever he's got to do. What I'm saying is, it's a quality we're lacking. You guys need to get on it. And I'm really talking to Zubimendi here, because I'm not going to blame Declan Rice, because Declan Rice is not the passer. We know he's not that guy. He's not going to split the defense with a wonder ball, you know, Odegaard style, Dennis Bergkamp style. He ain't going to do that. Eze style. He's not going to do that. But what he's going to do is everything else he's going to do well, Declan Rice. Moreno is not a passer. He's not going to slip the ball through between the lines and thread the needle and he's not going to do that. So the responsibility is on the shoulder of Martin Zubimendi. And I did not see him do that once. Remember in preseason when he broke that slip and then he curled that cross into Gyökeres and Gyökeres scored with his header. Brilliant, beautiful goal. You didn't see none of that yesterday. None of it. So, look, Zubimendi had no impact on the game, 5. Declan Rice, no impact on the game. He dropped even deeper in the second half to make himself non-existent. Really put a forward pass together, which is a shame considering he knows how to deliver the heck out of a set piece. But, yeah, I'm going to move straight on to Madueke. All three of them midfielders got a 5. All of them. Moreno, Rice, and Zubimendi. And they're lucky I didn't give them a 4. We didn't lose the game, so that's why they didn't get a 4. Yeah. Madueke, guys, I'm going to give a 7. Man, this guy's not had a less than a 7 all season. Created chances on the right flank, putting 3 balls into the box. And one of them was after beating 2 men. You know, we talk about Saka get double teamed, yeah? And I'll talk about that in a minute. You know, we talk about Saka getting double teamed and then we recycle the ball. This guy sees a double team and he's still going for the byline. I love it. I saw this guy do that and I said, what? You mean to say, man looked at 2 men and said, all right, I'll take 2 you on then. And just went boom and still got the ball in. I said, nah, man. I said, this guy, Andrew's saying, Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets is possibly an ideal Arteta seeks. Disruptor who can pass, a dribbler, passer which provides it. Yes, 100%. Well, excellent. Excellent there, Andrew. I totally agree. But listen, Madueke, man, is everything you love about a winger. He is. And he actually nearly scored. He had a shot that was saved from Donnarumma. Zubimendi had a shot that was saved, and Eze had a shot that was saved with Donnarumma as well. So Donnarumma, we're keeping him busy. A lot of people out there saying, we don't create. There's a difference to the type of creation you're talking about. At breakneck speed, ball through the middle, we're just not doing that. But all-round game, we are creating chances. Yeah, there are times that we are creating chances where we've had chances to score. But in terms of build-up play, it's just too slow and we're not getting balls in and we're just too negative with threading the needle into. And this is, and I know there's no Martin Odegaard there. And if Odegaard was in there, this wouldn't be happening. Because you know Odegaard is going to put it on the plate for a man. So, you know, those things will improve, guys. I wouldn't cry about it too much. But I'm just annoyed that the midfielders couldn't do that. But yeah, Madueke, man. Shame about the knee injury. It looks like he could be out for a month. But that's where we are with it. Victor Gyökeres, guys, I'm going to give him a 5. And that's not saying that he had a terrible game. That's saying he had terrible service. Yeah? Let's understand where it is. He's rarely ever rewarded for the runs that he makes. Sad for me to say. But when he didn't have the ball, he put so much pressure on City's back line. Like I said, the man was gassed. He was tired. And it's funny, guys. Here's the flip side of it. Haaland only had 1 chance to score, and he scored. Gyökeres is just asking for that 1 chance. He ain't asking for much. He's saying, just give me 1 chance, and I'll score. 1 chance. And we're not even giving him that. So that's where we are right now. Yeah? I see some of you lot giving up on Gyökeres already out there. Come on, man. I have more faith in you than that. But, yeah, I'm going to give him a 5. Arteta gets a 5 as well for being too risk-averse. The approach kind of leans towards not losing and winning. Okay, that's great away from home. But what we needed today was against City was to come out on the front foot and get it done. You're unwilling to take the risks because of how close Arsenal have come before. He's almost like he's trying to tippy-toe to the title. And I don't think that that's the way how you're going to win the title. It might be his undoing. I don't know. I don't know what this season is going to play out like, guys. I don't know. But what I do know is, and I put on the forum, guys, so you lot, if you go to the 101 forum on Facebook, you'd have seen that I've actually put the scores up with our first 10 games prediction. And a lot of us, Tony, you've probably seen that as well. I've put your name in there as well. I think you went for 11. I might be wrong. It might have been 13. But a lot of us, guys, said that we were going to be on 11 points. Neomis said 10 points. And we're on 10 points. So there's no disdain or disappointment in terms of where we are at the moment. We're right where most of us thought we were going to be. There's no doubt, guys, the first 6 games is a really, really difficult schedule. We knew that. And if we can beat Newcastle, then I think that we'd have come out the first 6 games really, really well. I think that that would give us in good stead to then go out and put a run together. I really do. It's been a baptism of fire. And not just that, guys. And I'm not sticking up for Arteta here, guys, and I'm not making excuses. but I got to say it anyway for balance sake, because I've done Blast and Arteta enough tonight. We're doing this, guys, with a plethora load of injuries. I'm not even going to go through the injuries because there's 6-7 players injured right now. And you know what annoys me with that? No other team has got these injuries. None of them. If you look at City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, none of those teams, guys, have got the injuries. Why have we got 6-7 players injured already after 5 games? Why? But you know what? I'm going to hold it down. And I said it wasn't an excuse because we've got the squad to cater with that. And that is the reason. And that's what we're seeing, guys. We're seeing new signings and squad players come in and make a difference. Amen. Yeah, that's what we wanted. Andrew's asked the question, is there a fear to disregard instructions from Arteta on occasions? A fear to disregard instructions? I don't think there is, because you have to remember, listening to the likes of Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, there's a learning curve for this system, Andrew. And quite frankly, I think a lot of players like Eze don't have this system down yet. They just don't. And it's going to be a ways for them to go before they understand what they're doing. I like what Madueke has done. Remember, I mentioned this before. Madueke's first appearance against Man United, he got blown up by Ahmad twice. You're not going to play for Arteta if you don't defend. And he knows that now. And he's fixed it. So Arteta's just like, keep doing what you're doing because he's uncoachable. And I want to talk about that divide. The divide I had was something, right? Saka and Madueke. And it's careful. Be careful with what I'm saying here because I'm not putting anybody down. But you know what I noticed when Saka got on the field yesterday for Madueke? I noticed that every option he takes for the first option is a pass. I said, there was 2 instances where I said, there you go, Saka, run him down the line. And Saka brought the ball on the inside and passed it into the midfield. That's like, if that was Madueke, he just would have shot the ball 10 yards down and beat his man. So it's 2 different mentalities. Saka, first of all, guys, is the finished product. Yeah? Let's understand, he's Arsenal's best player. He's our star boy. Why is he our star boy? Because he's the finished product. Man can create, assist, and score goals. Madueke is only at the point in his career where he can create. He's not a consistent scorer. He just isn't. He's not that polished yet. He needs to learn the end product. He ain't there yet. So for anybody out there thinking, man's trying to talk about replacing Saka on the right wing with nah, that's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you the difference in mentality. No 2 players are the same, right? The mentality with this guy is he wants to beat a man. He's hungry. He's like Theo Walcott. He wants to hit the ball forward and just impact on your defense. Yeah? Just cause distortion and destruction among your defense. Saka, on the other hand, is the much calmer, the more distributor, the guy who's used to the recycleness. Lack of urgency, you might call it. But it's a very slow build-up, which leads to all the 1-2s. And that's why Saka depends so much on Yuri and Timber, on Ben White, on Martin Odegaard. Because Saka, I did say before 2 weeks ago, guys, when I did the Nightcap, I said, Saka, he's okay at dribbling. He isn't the best at it. He can beat a man on his day, but he's just not consistent at it. Whereas Martinelli can very rarely ever beat a man. But Saka has. Saka's beaten defenders before. But he's just not consistent at it. Madueke will beat a man 9 out of 10 times. I don't care who you are, what defender you are. Madueke sees you, you're lunch. You're a lunchbox for him, man. You're food. You're prey. Because Madueke is going to eat you up. And he relishes that. He feeds off it. He lives off it. And the more he does it, the more confident he is. But he's lacking end product. When I see him beat a man, and this is the thing that Gyökeres has got to understand now. Gyökeres has to know, he's got to have that Haaland mentality, that when Kevin De Bruyne's got the ball in space, the ball's going to come in the box. And when that happens, you got to get on the end of it. I don't think Gyökeres has got that mentality yet with Madueke. He needs to know when Madueke makes that darting run, I need to shoot into space. I need to find a space and then shoot. Because you know what? the ball's going to come in the box. And it happened 3 times yesterday where there was no Arsenal player. And at the time, I think Gyökeres was already on the front line, so he was tap-in mode. But the ball, due to defending, was cut backwards on the penalty spot. So this is the difference between Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz would float his run so that he would pick that ball up on there. The difference is where's the better positioning for the striker? Is it right on the front line for a tap-in or back on the penalty spot? And Madueke seems to cut it back in all the time. These are things players have to learn by playing with each other, guys. So it's one of those things that I said to you, look, it will come along. It will come along. The last thing I have to say, guys, is Andrew said, can there be one player who is not expected to run back but simply focus on creativity? Maybe Eze for now, but I don't think that there is an Arteta system. If there was, you'd still be seeing Pepe. Aubameyang may even be in. I'm just joking. I'm saying that if you're going to be on this team, you're going to have to pull a shift. This 11-man playing, 11 men doing the same thing, the versatility and structure and discipline in the philosophy is what's made Arteta a good manager. And if you listen to any manager in their conference in Europe, whether it's PSG, whether it's Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, or whatever, and you listen to them talk about Mikel Arteta, they'll tell you he's one of the best managers in the world at what he does. Funny, innit? Because when you talk to people here, they're like, he ain't won a title, you don't know what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. But you listen to any manager out there that talks about Arteta and they say this guy he knows his stuff. Look how his team, Arsenal, are so well drilled. We take it for granted because we see it every week. But you listen to a manager talk about it and every week. Watch the opposition coaches' conferences. Listen to what they say. But guys, with Martinelli, I've got some quotes. Yeah? Because I think I've gone over my allotted time now. So I'm just going to end the stream by talking about Martinelli. I've got some quotes for you guys. Let me get the player ratings off there. Yeah, let me get the player ratings off there. I've got some quotes for you. My first quote is, you don't need anyone to tell you who you are or what you are. You are what you are. That's a quote from John Lennon. And there's another quote, which is, if you tell me, I will listen. If you show me, I will see. If you let me experience, I will learn. Yeah? 2 more quotes for you guys. 2 more. And you can see where I'm coming from. Show me the man you honor, and I will show you what the man you are. And my last quote is, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. So what I'm saying, guys, is Martinelli. There's been conversations on 101 on this podcast. Tony has talked about it. Cranky has talked about it. Gary has talked about it. Lewis has talked about it. Nabil's talked about it. I've talked about it. Vincey's talked about it. Maybe it's time that we put this guy in as a number 9. Yeah? Big up to you, D. D, what time you call this? Me about to sign out. Good to see you, my brother. Is it time to move Martinelli in as a striker, as a number 9? Because if you're just telling the man to do one thing, which is run off the back of the last defender, he can do that for you. Yeah? But when you're asking him to do everything else, he can't. It's too much for him. That's why he's regressed. He's regressed. 4 years ago, and I talk about this all the time. Sorry if I'm boring you guys. Aubameyang got a red card and was suspended. And then we had no striker, so we had to play Martinelli. We went away to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea. And Martinelli had the best game of his life. The goal he scored, running the pitch 70 yards, slamming it in the back of the net. When I saw that, I said, you know what, bro? This guy's a striker. But then, since then, we've been playing him as a left wing. And he had that one good year, didn't he? When things was going well for him. But unfortunately, the confidence is a bitch, man. Because when you ain't got it, you ain't got it. And he hasn't had it for a long time. He's not been confident for a long time. But I'm going back on the quotes. I went through 4 quotes for you lot. In terms of, you show me your colors, you show me who you are. That's what I'm saying to you. And what he is a number 9 and an impact sub. If you start him again, you might make the same mistake. He might suck. He might not have a good game. But when you play him as a substitute, he always seems to come on with the urgency to deliver a result. And look, guys, some people make a career out of that. The term super sub comes from somewhere. And I think we found ours. I think we found our super sub. And so, interesting to see what's going to happen, because you normally reward players like this with starts, right? And he's probably going to start against Port Vale in the cup tomorrow. By the way, we're streaming that live for you guys. But I'm not sure whether you start Martinelli yet. He gives you too much in the 17th minute with his impact. Why would you want to lose that? Why? That's a weapon and a tactic that you can use in your arsenal. So starting him doesn't help that, does it? You've got something in your back pocket, an ace card, which you can pull out, bang, slap it on the table, I can win the game. Why wouldn't you utilize that? So if I'm Arteta, I'm like, yeah, boy. Yeah. I'm rubbing my hands because that's my super sub right there. That's my super sub. So it can be interesting to see how that works out. Martinelli does not want the ball to feet. I don't know what he wants, because he's such an unorthodox player. Like, all I do know is, and we're talking about instincts, Andrew. Instinctively, his playing style is that of a striker. You think Jermaine Defoe, Tottenham, yeah? You think not so much Andy Cole, but Dwight York, yeah? You put the ball into them in the penalty area, what do? They don't pass. They don't try and dribble and beat somebody on one-on-one. They turn and shoot. That's all they do. They know where the goal is, because that instinct is there. And all they just do is one touch, turn, bang, shoot. That's all you need them to do. Do you remember, guys, and I keep boring you with this, remember when Theo Walcott started up front for Arsenal as a striker in 11 games? How many goals did he score? How many? See if you lot can guess. See if you lot can guess. How many goals did Theo Walcott score as a striker in 11 games that he started for Arsenal Football Club? Is that something you guys can remember? If it isn't, watch me. I'm looking at this now, you know. Hold on. If it isn't, guys, I'll tell you. Theo Walcott scored 11 goals in 11 games as a number 9 out-and-out striker. Yeah? Because of his instinctive play, he was incredible. And you know what killed him? When we beat Tottenham 2-0 and he had a season-ending injury, he was out for 6 months, and he was on the stretcher, and he did, what was it? He did the 2-0, yeah? He did the sign. And that ended his career as a striker, because had he stayed fit, Wenger would have carried on playing him, and he would have blown up as a striker, as a number 9. He would have blown up. But unfortunately, things are what they are because of what they are, and we know the history. D says any striker needs the ball in tight areas. If he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't score. Yeah, and that's what's happening with Gyökeres. Starving, man. Starving. The man have him knife and fork and plate, and now have no food on the plate. Yeah? Starving of service. D said this applies to Gyökeres also. Yeah, and Nelly. Yeah. And again, you're saying start Eze and Ethan. I think start Eze, yes. I think start Eze, not Ethan, no. I can't see a plan there with Ethan. I think Ethan still needs to be bedded in. Ethan does not have the number 10 spot down. He doesn't have it down. He's not creating chances. Keep him where he is. Yeah, Keep him as a sub. Keep him coming on as a rotational player, and play him in spots when you need to rest. There are plenty of teams in the league you can do that with. Being big games like this, no. D says we saw what Nelly was when he had broke through under Unai. I knew it was a striker, worked hard. Yeah, Xhaka would drop it. Yeah. And we're all saying that now. That's where he should play. I am 100% on that now. That's where he should play. So, guys, listen, breakdown. Happy for you guys to join me. I love doing these nightcaps. We can really have that conversation, can't we? And really strip and break the game down, and I appreciate that. D says we've scored 8 goals in 2 games when Ethan's played at Leeds. So you have to look at his and I showed you the sheet on the XG, didn't I? I'm sure I have. You was here on the podcast when I did last week. Yeah, he has the lowest assist XG out of all of our players. He just doesn't create. And look, and we're not slamming him down. We're not doing that. We love Ethan. When we've seen him play on the right, he's been dynamic. He's been brilliant. It's fantastic. Can go past the man. Can cut in on that left. Go top bins, everything, yeah? But at the number 10, that's a different position. You can't do that when you're in the midfield, what you can do on the right, simply because of how crowded the area is, yeah? So that's why, we don't see him dribble and go past the man, and because there's just not that type of game. And number 10 has to, first of all, have vision. You got to know and see everything on the field. And number 2, you have to have the ability to weight a ball correctly so that it drops on a dime. Number 3, you have to thread the needle. So when you have to read and react on runs, you got to make sure you can play the ball through 2 or 3 men. I ain't seen him do any of those 3. Ever. Not once. But what I have seen him do, yeah, you're talking about, yes, pace and power. But yeah, because we saw that on the right. But pace, all those things you mentioned, pace, power, that doesn't work in the middle as a number 10, bro. A number 10, those aren't the attributes that you need as a number 10. You need range, you need vision, you need the ability to weight a pass perfectly, and you got to thread the needle. And as I said to you, and I'm talking about from my football knowledge, I've not seen Ethan do any of those. But that's what he's working on. This is a work in progress for us with Ethan as a number 10, and I'm here for it. I want him to get his training wheels on and go through the motions and pick this thing up. So in the next season or 2, we can be talking about him as a world-class number 10. At the moment now, he's not even comparative in terms of a number 10. I'm talking about a number 10. We're not talking about as a football player. As a football player, he's brilliant. He's one of the best young talents we have in this country. But as a number 10, he's a pup. He's a baby. As a number 10, he's a pup. D missed my ratings. Right, okay. I was just about to turn off the stream, bro. Let me put my ratings up. There's my ratings for you, bro. Yeah, there's my ratings. Andrew says, where is Lewis Skelly? He's not actually a midfielder. You know what? We all thought that he was going to rotate with Zumbamendi at least as a number 6. But he's not even been on for the last 2 games, has he, for Calafiori? I'm not actually sure what's happening with, but I will say this though. We've got Port Vale tomorrow, and Dowman wasn't in the squad for that reason, because he played in Bournemouth when I think it was Wolves they played or something. So Arteta's sort of looking forward at what he's got, and then what manpower is he going to have in there. And that's why we're seeing all these different changes. That's why we're seeing these kind of players, because he wants them at the optimal level. So I think that's what he's doing. But in saying that, he's making the substitutions, the perfect substitutions. Every time Arteta is making substitutions, they're impacting games. They're impacting games. The substitutions he's getting right every single time. I've got no problem with the substitutions. Yeah. What do I rate the subs? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's get this back up here. The subs. I did actually... The subs. The subs, I rated the subs. I think I put Eze, I gave a 7.5. Had a volley earlier on, then he created a goal with an unbelievable assist. I gave him 7.5. Saka, I gave a 5, or let's give him a 6. I gave Saka a 6. Didn't fare well, always looking to pass the ball, not taking a defender on. And this is why, as I said, I made the point with Madueke looks to dribble and beat a defender first. Saka gets the ball and looks to pass first. The Saka's used to all the help that he gets on that side with the overloads from and the 1-2s from Timber or Ben White or Odegaard or whatever. And Madueke don't need that type of help. Madueke is a one-man army. He get the ball and then gone. But you know, Saka's a different type of player. Better end product, but more of a team player. He's not going to do it by himself. He needs his team around him to help him excel. And so, yeah, he didn't really impact the game, and he didn't look 100%. He's been out for a month, and I did say actually in the pre-game, I thought that it was best to give him maybe 15 minutes in this game, and then give him a little bit more minutes in the cup against Port Vale tomorrow, and then you can start him against Newcastle next week. So I was surprised that he played for a whole half. I don't think he was that fit to do it. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it from me tonight. Big up, shout out to all of you lot. Hit that like button before you go, and I'll speak to you in the next one. See you tomorrow, actually, in the cup game. Peace.